I just want to make this video to make an update for the Russian coup, everything that's going on. So, in the last video, we talked about how Putin is possibly killed and assassinated, and if Prigozhin isn't assassinated, then it's obvious that Prigozhin one Prigozhin didn't ever have the intent of actually making it into Moscow. He knew he would never make it into Moscow because his entire intent was just to drive Putin out of Moscow, which he pretended he went to St. Petersburg, but he didn't, because he always goes to his Crimea vacation home bunker and and goes there. So when he went there, then they took him out at that point. So it's there's all there. So in other words, if you think about Prigozhin, he knew they didn't have the forces to ever make it into Moscow, right? To actually take over Moscow and be successful in that style, right? So all of that was just a big show of force. That's why they shot down those helicopters, is to show that they were serious, that they were going to take back the government and stuff, which they weren't actually going to do, because they just wanted to and which is true, because they weren't going to do that. They just wanted to have Putin get killed, right? So then Prigozhin talks to Lukashenko, and Lukashenko works out a deal, because now Putin's dead, and Lukashenko's role depends on Putin still being alive. Otherwise, the whole thing collapses, right? The entire system, Belarus collapses and all that. So Lukashenko works out a deal to keep the puppet in control, and this is why we're not hearing about Putin right now, just because they'll know if the puppet is put up on display, and so and the United States already knows who did everything, because of the secret military purpose of the synthetic aperture radar of the Starlink constellation, which is hiding in the private sector as military, and it's just the military hiding in the private sector. But ultimately, there were some updates there on what could potentially be happening. Okay, and so if Lukashenko is part of the Skull and Crossbones, which Skull and Crossbones is, the Bush family, all part of the Skull and Crossbones, and every leader that's put into power has been part of that. And you can go back to Hitler, the Totenkopf. You look at their skull and bones. It's everything is all part of that society. Okay, and so what's actually happening is they might be doing, because they just moved nuclear weapons into Belarus, and they're taking the Wagner forces into Belarus. They're going to put up a nuclear attack potentially. Now, this could be one of two ways. This could be all legit right now, and they could be overthrew and killed Putin, which is part of Skull and Crossbones. I'm not sure about the status of the Belarusian president, so if anyone has any information on that, I would like to hear it in the comment section and let me know about that, because I don't know about that. So ultimately, what they could do is put, since they have the nuclear weapons in Belarus, they've sent in the mercenary squads, and they have the mercenary squads, and because they just shot down Russian stuff, they look like they're not really associated anymore, and they get them to do the nuclear strike on Ukraine. So they'll do tactical nuclear strikes using these tactical nuke systems on Ukrainian positions, and so since they initiate it, and it's not the official government, it'll be a nuclear war started with militia, basically, with military people who are paid, the not technically militia, but either way, privately backed military groups, privately funded military organizations, and that will lead the path towards, just like January 6th they had FBI agents and stuff and plants inside of January 6th to make it so they could take away power of the presidential seat. All and just like the indictment on Donald Trump, I don't support Donald Trump, but I do know, because I already know Donald Trump is dead. They already killed Donald Trump and took over his body, and because I already know all about that, because that's exactly in the same type of manner in which we function, except we don't kill to take over bodies. We only take over prematurely abandoned bodies. And so ultimately, they will kill to take over bodies. But yeah, anyways, to go on more and more about this, there could be putting nuclear weapons and doing a nuclear strike on Ukraine. And if that's the case, it could be controlled by the powers that be, the skull and crossbones, or it could be a legitimate operation. And how we're going to tell is the response of the United States. The United States just recently talked about how, Zelensky warned how they could have a their nuclear power plant. The one nuclear power plant over there could leak radiation, because of war and stuff, and they could be planting a false flag against Russia to be able to have a reason to invade, because and bring in new weapons. So if we see long range weapons like missiles and long range missiles being brought in, then we know that they're not under control right now, and they're basically doing a coup without doing a coup, and and that's why Lukashenko did the deals, because the real Vladimir Putin is dead. All that's left is his body doubles. Okay, and but that might not also be the case too. But we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure out what the likelihood scenario is. And so if Vladimir Putin is alive, the real Vladimir Putin is alive, then guess what? Guess what is gonna happen? The Wagner forces will be eliminated. Every single one of them will be killed for what they did. If that's was the goal. Now, and this could be controlled by Putin to be able to get a nuclear explosion. So either way, this could be the scenario here. But ultimately, that would just take away power from militia, which that's ultimately what they want to do, is belittle the people, just like they did with January 6th, and shut down that ability from ever happening again. They want to get legal precedent set up. They want to get scenarios of things happening, so that way they can make reference to those things and say why someone else shouldn't be able to do something else. Okay, so it's just all about full spectrum domination. FSD. Elon Musk coined the term full self-driving. Well, that's a military term for full spectrum domination. Dominate everyone on every single part. And basically, we were prodding into we were prodding into Russia by wanting to set up a nuclear alliance with Ukraine, right? So just imagine if China came in and set up a nuclear alliance with Mexico. It would not be a good sight. It'd be a bad day, because we would invade Mexico, especially if we could invade Mexico to keep them from setting up the alliance, just like Russia could with Ukraine. All they had to do was invade, and now they can't get a nuclear alliance. So it was just pure logic, honestly, at that point. Just to invade in order to keep them from getting, and plus it's logic on that end. It was a double logical. So they pushed him into a corner he didn't have to go into, but Putin went into the corner, willingly, and now because they want to test their nuclear systems, because they're using Starlink to 3D map and record. They know where all the ballistic missiles are. They could track all nuclear submarines and everything. They could track all of it using ground penetrating radar and all sorts of other technologies. They can basically figure out where everything is in real time, because they can record the entire surface of the planet all the time. So with this technology, you can know exactly where all the nuclear weapons are and exactly when they're fired, and you could track their movements and using the satellites in orbit. And then you have kinetic kill vehicles, KKVs, which can shoot down out of orbit and attack, literally attack a ballistic threat. So there's a ballistic missile coming, it shoots out of orbit, goes down and hits the ballistic missile and explodes it, right? So now because they have this technology, they want to test it. It's literally just like the bullshit. What the hell is it called? Don't Look Up. You know, the movie Don't Look Up. They have technology and it's like, well, it's a good chance that it works, and if it doesn't work, then guess what? We end in a nuclear war, and everyone loses. But that's all just for, chasing profits and setting up what they want to do. So, anyways, it's all about the control, everything here. So, ultimately, those are some of the new updates about what could potentially happen with a nuclear threat from Belarus, initiated under uh, a militia attack, and that's why they've made it look like the Wagner Group is not pro is not pro is not pro Putin. Like they're going to try to take it over or whatever. So they did that, and then they'd also have an invading force too. They can take all the Wagner Group and put them as the invading force right after they set off the nuclear bombs, right? And in Ukraine, then after they set them off, then they can use the Wagner force as the frontline infantry to go into there to go clear the situation. And that's how because they're the ones who would be the aggressors who initiated it. So we're not sure if that could be controlled by the powers that be, or this could be a general uprising and they actually took out Putin, and that's what's happening. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope y'all have a glorious, magnificent, wonderful, beautiful, awesome, amazing, incredible existence, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Love you all. Till next time. Bye.